Hello crafty friends, Amanda here with Crafting with Amanda, and today I am going to scrapbook these two photos of friends of my parents that we used to go down to Florida and visit, and I'm also going to meet a challenge that I had set for a group of friends during a virtual crop. So the challenge that I set was to create, using only scraps, a focal point for your photos. And I showed you those two pieces of scrap paper that I had. I'll put those up again here in the corner for you so you can see them. And with the two that I did first, I just used strips of paper that I had and put them on a diagonal. And then I did include some ribbon, rickrack for the one, and then I had this beautiful tiny, it's like I can't think of what it's called, like tiny thread crocheted flower ribbon that I put on it. So I did give the suggestion of bonus points in making your feature to include some sort of textile. But it's just a suggestion, it's not mandatory. And I wanted to show you something different today. So I call this kind of a quilting technique, and it's a matter of finding some balance in your pieces. So here you'll notice that I took 3 pieces about the same size of that bold flower pattern paper. And the reason why the same size is a matter is because then they have the same kind of weight as the other ones, that you don't just have a small square of it one place and then a bigger square or rectangle of it a different place. So some of that you just need to keep in mind of, like the zip strip at the top that has the hearts on it, because of the solid background, it's what would be considered, has a heavy feel to it. It anchors the piece. So I needed to have that balance again with that solid bluebird from the strip that's kind of now in the middle of the page. And then it's not quite as deep, but the pink that's solid right above the yellow in the bottom right corner, again, it's the solid colors. It helps anchor the piece. It helps also your eye have focus. So these are just things to think about. I know it's kind of funny. Some people just can do it naturally. I have to kind of follow some rules, or I've gotten better over the years of just having the feel for it. The more you do, the more these things just, it's like, oh, this is what works for me. This is what makes you happy or feels comfortable. And for all of this, you can see I basically will put the piece up, measure it a little bit. Sometimes I use my pencil to draw a line before I cut it on the cutter. Very rarely do I actually use scissors, because I don't care if it's 1/8 of an inch, I will cut it crooked. This one I felt comfortable with because there was lines on the paper and I could follow the line. But for the most part, I don't use scissors on this. There are some people that can just whip these out, and that's great for them. I am not one of those people. So, and I'm always amazed. I don't know if you've noticed this, but it's kind of like the scrap pieces that I have from these projects that I've worked on, they just fit in these holes. Like I didn't have to cut that down in 2 dimensions, like the widthwise. I only needed to adjust the height. And I'm always amazed when those kind of things happen. It's like, because our papers we cut in like 2 by whatever squares or strips, and then we have 2 by pieces left, they just work, which I think it makes it easier, makes it fun. I always wondered how that did. Again, putting balance with the blue plaid papers, you'll see that there's 3 of those, and they're near kind of edges and the pattern paper. I go ahead, and to give some uniformity to all the different patterns, I ink the edges directly in the lemonade ink. I'm not going to have you watch me do all of that, but I will cut to the end. I've glued everything down. I did adjust a little bit at the bottom. I just wanted to move those 2 lines from the bottom left corner, so I adjusted those a little bit. And then I matted this all on a Lagoon cardstock. And originally I thought that I was going to use this pattern paper for the background of my layout. It was too busy. There was just too much going on with the interest in my focal point. So I grabbed a solid piece of black, and then this is a stamp set from 2017, and it's Live, Laugh, Love. It was a stamp of the month from May. And I want to try on the back of my layout stamping this with the Pigment White Daisy ink. Pigment ink will show up on darker cardstock. I don't know if you know this, but different inks have different characteristics. Pigment ink, the solvent that carries the color, will sit on top of paper. Water-based ink will absorb right into the paper, so you have to have a darker color of dye-based or water-based ink to show up on lighter colored cardstocks. But here the white pigment will sit right on top. And I had thought about using like a stitching stamp or line stamp, and I just couldn't find what I wanted in my stash. So I'm just grabbing my ruler here and kind of free-forming the line. It's not truly free-form. I'm about 3/8 of an inch from the outside edge of my cardstock. Kind of hard to see because it's on the back of my Versamat. I use the Versamat not only for when I stamp, but also when I'm using the gel pen. For me, it just gives that little bit more give than the front side of the Versamat, so I feel like I'm getting, it writes better, it just, for me, it works better. So that's my tip of the day here. Also, I use this T-square ruler, and it is a little bit of an investment, but it replaced several other tools in my stash. And here I'm going to start showing you that I wanted to do some embellishments. So on the back side of that Live, Laugh, Love stamp set was the Keep Dreaming stamp set that had this beautiful opened rose stamp, and I stamped that right on the pink ombre paper from the Celebrate Today paper pack. But to show you how to cut it on the Scan and Cut, I went and pulled just a free clip art image of 2 roses, and I printed them on my printer directly onto cardstock so that you could see how easy it is to use the Scan and Cut to do your fussy cutting for you. I have arthritis in my hands, and so this has been just wonderful for me. So scanned it in, and then I'm just cleaning up around the image. It just showed there was a few little cuts that I go in, and you just hit the trash can and say okay to delete those little cuts. It left me with the 2 rose outlines. It's gonna determine how thick of a paper they are on. And I do show you at the end what I do with these 2 roses. I made a card using more of my scraps from the Celebrating Today papers. And I added some of the raspberry ink with sponging in the center of the roses, which I don't show you because here my goal is just to show you how easy the Scan and Cut cuts these for you. And you can also, with the direct cut out frames or shadows. So here are the 2 roses that I cut out, along with the white acrylic shapes from the Flower Shop die cut set in our core catalog. I pulled the hearts and then the flowers. The hearts worked with the zip strip that has those rainbow hearts on it, and I needed white. Obviously, that's kind of my theme that I'm going with. Is my photo focal point has lots of colors going on, but I wanted the rest of it to just be more calm, so I chose to use the black and white. I'm trying these hearts. It's funny, I'm kind of putting them along the edge, and I'm thinking, oh, this would be cute on like a baby, I don't know if it's a sonogram, but where you get the ultrasound and you have the babies. I think it would be cool to see like this on the heartbeat line on a layout. So if you have any of those layouts to do, that would be kind of cool. And then again, for balance on the page, I needed one more of the white daisy flower, so I put it on one of the leaves that I did with the roses. And here's that card that I told you that I did. I stamped on the envelope, and then also you can see those roses right here on the card. If you want to connect with me on social media, here's how you can do it. Crafting with Amanda -VIP group is my Facebook group that you're welcome to join us. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I invite you to do that now. Here's another video you may be interested in. I hope you have a great day. Blessings.